Good morning, everyone. Phillip with Tropic of Canada. So, gonna do a little update video of how everything's doing, how the plants are. On our house plant, our pineapple guava, we actually have that one pineapple. Where is it here? There it is. The one pineapple guava that we had from blossom this year. Didn't only get one blossom this year, so hopefully with a bit of pruning in that, we'll be able to get more triggered. And yeah, so we've got a lot of the citrus ready to go. A lot of our new bananas that came in this year. Same thing with our bababco papayas, ginger down here. But yes, the citrus is putting on its new growth, new blossoms, as it's that time of year. We had all the growth come in on February, which is mostly fruit. Now they're starting to put out their leaves, which is great. So hopefully in fall we'll get more leaves and more fruit. And we got some of our new teas, which I believe, yeah, this is the Furi. It's the Furi tea. Some small bay leaves. And one thing we've been noticing this year, there's one of them good pollinators, if it'll focus. There he is. Yeah. There it is. One of the good pollinators that you like. And they tickle your arm when they're on you. But yes, we've had a good year. A lot of new growth on a lot of new things. There's many different types of citrus, so I won't be able to name it all off the top of my head. But we've got a lot of grapefruit here. There's the kaffir lime. Some people say kefir. I say kaffir. Someone can correct me the correct pronunciation, I'm sure. The kumquats themselves, some of them have done well, some of them done a little more poor. I find the kumquats are definitely the more sensitive of the citrus compared to your grapefruits, your limes, and any of the bigger citrus seem to definitely are easier to grow. The yuzu lemon, there's a few of them back there. Definitely some of the easier ones. And I mean, the Australian finger lime, if you want a quite resilient citrus, I would definitely be going after them. They have done amazingly well. I think we only maybe had one loss over the winter, compared to some of the other plants in that, which we've had a higher failure rate on them. So the lime seem to be, well, Australian finger lime and actually the kaffir lime seem to be more resilient. Don't know off the top of my head exactly why that might be. We suspect, especially with the Australian one, it's used to a harsh climate over in Australia, and it's just an overall more resilient plant. Here's some more of these are all sold still going out. Just waiting for people to come pick them up. So got them tagged off. We've got some of the new plants. Oh yeah, sugar apple. These are the 3-gallon sugar apples here. And we got some more of the wax jambus. Then we get into a few of the avocados with some figs. We are still working on organizing this place after sort of the spring craziness. We're gonna get everything moved around, so shade plants are in the shade of these big bananas and some of the larger citrus in that. And yeah, the papayas this year, they've had a rough winter. So one thing we'll say is they definitely need to stay in that sun. We didn't have any grow lights set up, so the bigger papayas, while they're still putting out fruit in that, they've had a bit of a tougher transition. So they're going or right now they're putting out their new leaves again. So all this old dead leaf that came out during the spring, when they came out of the darkness back in February. Oh, my favorite cherry is blossoming. So that's awesome. Hopefully we'll get lots of them on these guys, because yeah, the Grimachama is, like I said, my favorite cherry. A more sweet tamarind, which we're happy to get this year, because I know the previous years we've had a bit of a challenge getting it, but now we have a good amount of the sweet and the sour. But back on the papayas, yeah, we noticed they struggled a lot in the darkness. They did not like it very much, and then when we had the sun come out, they shed all their leaves, and then excuse me, and then they put out their new growth, and now we're into the more intense summer. We're getting a more leaf shed and new growth again. So, and also we had to do a refertilize a little bit earlier, as to why the leaves are a bit yellow as well too than we were wanting, as it's supposed to be 270, and those guys seem to use it all up a little bit quicker. So hungry plants. So for anybody that does have papayas, or at least that's the Carica Red Lady, do your best to give it as much sun or artificial light as well. Try not to let it have that long darkness, and that way it doesn't have to go through that many transitions, and you get all the funky ugly leaves and the funky ugly fruit, because they still do fruit. It's just they definitely don't keep that nice beautiful fruit that we had earlier in the year. So we'll get those, or they have been refertilized, so we just got to wait for the new leaves to start coming out. These guys are the Goldfinger bananas in the 3-gallon. We potted them up this spring. They were about 3 feet high, so this is all their growth to in the past. We've potted them up around end of April, so you're looking at about a month, 2 months worth of growth. And that's the thing with bananas, they grow kind of to the pot size, so if you can give them a bigger pot, definitely do it. We try and keep them smaller just so they're easier to manage for people bringing them home and that. Here's the yakin from the other day. And we've been waiting on our coffee. We had lots and lots of blossoms, so we're hoping one day or soon we'll get the beans, because that'll be really neat and exciting. So here is also, well, this one sold, our first sugar apple. We're super excited about. This one's going out to a client. But yeah, so we've got lots of yakin, which yakin is a really nice sweet. It's called, I think, the pear of the earth, but it's I liken it to a crispy, juicy potato, but sweeter. Not like sweet potato or yam. It's definitely a different flavor to that, but it's not an unpleasant flavor by any means. We've got still some Wirtz avocado, and the ones which they'll be getting potted up this fall. So if you want that less expensive Wirtz, get it now, because these will all be going into 3 gallons in the fall. And then we've got a couple more mangoes, which unfortunately some of them weren't the best coming out of Florida this year. But they are still alive. We're just waiting for them to put on their new growth, which definitely mangoes are in their new growth phase for a lot of them. We got here more avocados. That's another thing too. We'll be doing our pruning shortly, our sizing, getting our potting up as the summer months come on. This is the bay leaf. So this is at about 6 feet. So this guy's getting a little too big. They've been vigorously growing this year, which has been nice. And those are jujube. I think we still have one left. Have to check inventory. But yeah, the bay leaf's been growing really vigorously this year. So for anybody that wants the spice, I would recommend getting one of these guys, because they've been really nice this year. Got a couple more jaboticabas. The lychees So we've been having a bit better success at the lychees now. They seem to be liking the new environment. You don't get as much of the brown tip, which seems to be a common thing for container growing. Our growers in Florida, because I asked them, and they said, well, we kind of just deal with it. But our environment, we've been noticing, through our watering and that we've been actually keeping them happier. More of the, I can't remember, June plum. These are the June plums. We've got some of them still in fruit. They're getting more mature and getting nice and big. So those are always nice. And then this, what we got here? Oh, those are blossoms coming out. Trying to see, because we've had blossoms on this. This is the new Araza. And yeah, it's a new one this year. I don't know too much about it off my head because I haven't had too many questions on it. But I believe it's from the rainforest. And it's supposed to be a tasty little fruit. So that's why we brought it. And then our hog plums, they're dropping all their fruit now because they're going into their leafy phase. So they're pushing out all their new growth. But it's been great. Like I said, and to describe what I said in the pictures on Facebook, like it's not a sweet, it's not a bitter or sour thing. It's actually just, it's a tasty plum. So it's that neutral flavor. So you're not worried for anybody that's say more bothered by something with extreme taste. This is, it's got that plum taste to it, but it's not an overpowering flavor. So it's a more mild, so you can enjoy it without fear of, people going, especially if you're sharing one at dinner to somebody new, that won't scare them away. We've still got some persimmons left over. Actually, we had one in fruit back there. Which one was that one? Sorry to drag you back. This was one of the larger guys. That is the Okugoshu. So he held on to his fruit this year from the trip. Because we definitely saw fruit drop off the 4 gallons due to the climate change between Florida and Canada. Always a pain in the butt. One of the annoying things, but come next year, you'll get lots and lots and lots of fruit. So these are the Surugas that we had stored here last year, and most of them are holding on to their fruit and they're growing out. So these are, if I recall correctly from last year, these were the more, I think it's stringent, the jelly style. And I mean, they were delicious. We used to just take the tops off and eat them with a spoon, eat all the gooey insides. And that was a very, very tasty fruit. We enjoyed that. And they seem to be good producers too. So once you got them acclimatized, so the best time, of course, is get them this year, get them in the fall, so that way they're not moved in the spring and much less likely to drop their fruit. So even though this guy looks, dead, we were, our first experience with him this year, definitely is putting out the new growth. So that way, it's an interesting tree. You get the fruit and then you get the leaves. So these are the achachas. A bit like the mango, I believe. Off the top of my head, I think it's part of the mangosteen family. It is not a mangosteen, but it's part of that family. And then we get into the other larger sugar apples, which they all do have little blossoms in that, but they're a bit difficult for pollination, I believe, and that's why we haven't seen. So 100% don't know the exact pollination method of that. We do rely on the bugs that do come in and out of here for our pollinating, because we're not doing any hand pollination at this time. But they definitely do have blossoms on them. And then the Jamaican cherry, the strawberry tree. These guys have been blossoming and popping lots and lots of fruit out as well. Whenever we see one, it's almost, it's almost irresistible to not take it. They're tasty little fruit. So, and then we get into, so those are some cacao, and those are some miracle fruit, but they are all sold, I believe. And now we get into more of the star fruit, which the star fruits are now coming into their blossom. And this year, knock on wood, the aphids are not attacking them. We had a lot of ladybugs come in this winter. We bought a lot of ladybugs to bring in to clean it up from last year, and we've been happy with how well they've been doing, because the star fruit is usually one that gets super attacked with aphid, but the ladybugs have been doing a great job, and the population has been brought down severely. So we've been not noticing any on the new growth, which is awesome, because it makes our job easier. And lets us keep the fruit too, because too much of a pest will generally hamper the new growth, hamper the fruit production, which is what you want, but generally, doesn't kill off the plant. So your old growth will still be around. You'll just want to, sorry, big old weed here. Get this guy out. You'll just want to take care of the pests, slowly keep the population, keep cleaning it. Soapy water does great for baby pests, because the soap itself does a good job of bonding to them, so they can't breathe anymore, suffocates them, and then you just wash them off after. So a few more yacons, which we're going to start planting these in our garden, just so the ones that don't sell, we plant in our garden, and we've got a nice beautiful harvest for the fall. It's like I say, it's really kind of nice, and then you've got your food for the winter. And you don't need many plants. Like, this is an overabundance for us. So if we were to plant all of these, we're definitely going to be giving some to our neighbors, just because there's far too much. So these are all our new figs that we got in this year to replace our losses. We'll be getting some more for a few more varieties in the fall as well, so we'll have a good selection going into spring next year. These are the tissue culture olives that we get. So Kamlali, Lacino. We'll be getting the Arbequinas again, which is your standard, I believe what's called the standard olive. We got the truly tiny bananas, which are always great, because again, they don't take up your whole house. I'll show you what a bigger truly tiny looks like, just so you can get an idea in a little bit. And they don't take over your house, which is awesome. So you can have them in your apartment. You can have them, in a small flat. You don't need that big sunroom for them to grow, which is great, because now you've got bananas in downtown, wherever, whether it be Toronto, Montreal, London, Saskatoon, Vancouver, wherever you want. Inside, you got these nice little guys. So I walked over. So Bruce Canistel, they've been doing better. The other, what's that other one? I passed it, but they're the Bruce Canistels. It's amazing how much better they look once they start putting out their leaves for the new growth. And I wish I could remember the other name. I'll see it in the other greenhouse when we go there. But, you get them in spring, they're looking pretty sad, and you're like, oh no, there's not much on them. And then they start putting out their growth in the summer, and it's great. So these are all the persimmons that didn't make it, unfortunately. So these are the ones that didn't have the correct storage. We were hoping some more would come back, because we hoped the storage would actually do pretty well, but it didn't. And that's, in stark contrast to the Seguras, which are over here, that, yeah, they came back great because they were in better storage. So the storage itself, so these were kept inside a barn with light, but it wasn't insulated at all. So these guys, when we had a week of minus 18, these guys got down, we didn't have a thermometer, but good chance they got down to that minus 15, minus 10, minus 15 for a week. So they got killed off. There's some cherries, but where these guys were in a room that wasn't heated, but it was beside a room that was heated. So similar to what a garage would be. And There was still some windows in it, so they had some light coming in. It wasn't total darkness, but these guys all survived and did well. Everything that was in that room survived, where everything that was in the other area, we had, at least 95% loss. So when it comes to that cold storage, or cool storage for the winter for your persimmons, and we got Cherry hiding back there. You want to make sure that it's not getting to those cold temperatures. A -5, for a night should be all right, but you don't want it going below that for, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then you run into the danger of the plant not making it, which we definitely don't want. So, look for that, slightly heated room, or that room that stays above -5. And also, you don't want the soil getting solidly frozen as well. So if you can best avoid that, because what happens is when that plant tries to wake up, and if the roots are still frozen, because that'll always take a lot longer to thaw out than the plant, say, waking up, depending on the plant, that's where you can run into issues, especially, say, with the olives, why we lost so many olives. And that was because it got cold, but then it warmed right up. And when it warmed right up, the plants could not draw their moisture from the root systems, and they passed away. So that was not a good time. But the good news is we've learned, and now we can pass this on to you. And our next generation for next year should be doing great. So that guy, that is a flame grapefruit. Like I said, most of the big plants, most of the small plants have fruit on them. We still got to go through our pollination or pollen cleaning up. So there's a bit of old pollen. You'll get that because these guys are such heavy pollinators. And like I said, we got to do our pruning. Now our pruning, our cleaning on all of these, get them all, shaped up for next year, because they're, like I said, they're all putting out a lot of new growth. And yeah, so even our bigger coffee starting to put out his new growth. But yeah, so we come over here. So these are more, I believe, truly tiny, or no, Hong Kong thong. Yeah, but to give you, so this is a more mature. So this is a dwarf Orinoco. Give you an idea of size. So you're looking right now, that top leaf would be about 7 feet coming out. And this tree is about 1.5 years old. So we should be seeing the fruit soon. Another dwarf Orinoco. And we've got Acatan, Orf Cavendish. And yeah, so dwarf Cavendish is definitely shorter, and then you can see that Lacatan, but that Lacatan's being restricted in that 3-gallon pot, so it is not going up to full size. And then there's the truly tiny. So that guy's year and a half old. I think he's about more close to that 1.5 years, and you can see you're 3 feet tall. And you'll still get a nice big bunch out of them. The bananas themselves are just shorter. So, yeah, really a nice house banana plant that you can have and you can get your fruit from. So more of the figs, more of the coffees, more of the pomegranates. The pineapple here, we're just waiting for him to be ready to pop off. Giving him a slight twist, bend, so he's not ready to pop off yet. But he's almost there. And then a couple more bananas, they'll be starting to change too. Look forward to eating those guys. I believe those are both elite golds, or that group's elite golds. And actually see the new bunches. We're starting to get the next pineapples coming out. So once you've got one, you got a nice establishment going. Yeah, you can have a nice little forest of bananas. Pineapples. Just watch out for the serrated leaves on the stiffer ones, because they're never pleasant. So these are pomegranates that were in the good storage, and you can see they've just been pumping out the growth. they've been really enjoying it in here. So again, that key to good winter storage for having a great next season. So these guys are 2 years old, going into their 3rd year now. So nice and full. And we get to our big old loquats. So we are trying to get a source for smaller loquats because we got these about a year and a half ago. They've been growing great, been growing big, and we do need that smaller size because only a few people, some people are going to be able to store those somewhere, and we know they're way too big. The great showpiece, but hard to fit in the home. So we're definitely looking at sourcing some smaller varieties. The other ones that we can do, say either from cuttings or seed, we tend not to do because they grow too vigorous. So you still want to graft to control that growth. As you can see, this is growth put on in a month. So if it wasn't restricted, I mean, the plants would just be not obtuse, but just massive trees. So you want to be able to control that growth, and they do respond well to pruning. But from what we've seen, and a little bit of research that my wife did, you want to prune them in the fall, because if you prune them in the spring, you're going to stop the fruit, and because it comes on the new growth. So if you prune them in the spring when the new growth is coming out, you stop the fruiting process, and that's why we didn't get fruit this year. So you want to avoid that. Some little jackfruits, which these guys, you definitely need to keep them with lots of light, and don't change their environment up. Keep them happy, and you'll get them to hold on to their fruit, and also get them pollinated, which we find, say our local pollinators weren't that interested in. We do have some login coming on. We did prune them back, so that did reduce some of the fruit on them, but they do come back fairly quickly when it comes to the fruit. So is that our mangoes are putting out their... I was aiming at nothing. Sorry, the sun's kind of bright. So our mangoes are starting to put out their new growth. Starting to look pretty after winter. Another plant that really does not like the darkness. And here's another pineapple guava, which we pruned back. And a couple other guys hiding over here. Juicy. Yeah. And we got our last row of citrus. So lots and lots of new growth coming out. So, which is, definitely what you want. After they blossom, they produce lots of fruit, and now you need that leafy structure to support all that fruit. The other thing too is these guys, a lot of them are fresh pot ups this year in the spring. So in your March time and up, so they're getting that happy new soil, which now contains 30% coir. So coir is an excellent sponge. It holds that water in, so you're not having to water as often, but it also keeps it not away from the roots, but so the median that the roots are sitting in isn't wet, where you get that root dieback, root rot, and it keeps them happier. So we did a trial with it. We had much finer roots, much hairier roots, so they were happy, and overall it's just a better soil mix. So it did take a while to get. There were some delays in shipping. We got it from Sri Lanka through a Canadian firm, and we now have it available in 5 kilogram blocks as well for yourself. So if you want to start adding it to your mix as well, we do have it available on our website there, where you can order it for delivery, or if you wanted to pick it up when you come in. So just to give you an idea what it looks like, that's what this is. So there's the coir mix there. So these are 5 kilogram compressed blocks of coir. So they do swell up. So when you do add water, it's like those little things you get for the kids. This swells and swells and swells. Alrighty.